Bueno, lo he puesto a grabar por si está bastante bien. Y más que nada porque he grabado y he subido todos los anteriores. Así que... ahora que está esto, me voy a proponer subir el siguiente, que va a ser el antepenúltimo, el siguiente vídeo de lo que estaba haciendo en YouTube de Cyberpunk. El antepenúltimo, subirlo a principios de la semana que viene. Esa es mi intención. Veremos. Veremos si se cumple. Porque, bueno, no estoy muy motivado. Pero bueno, a ver si esto me da un poco de fuerzas, un poco de ganas. Yo, lo de que sea algo cotidiano, lo de los accidentes, lo de los atropellos estos o accidentes con jabalíes, no sé, es Asturias. Ya nada me sorprende, la verdad. Pero bueno. No sé, aquí te encuentras con lagartijas, como mucho. ¿Se escucha bien o queréis que lo suba o que lo baje?
Hello and welcome to Night City Wire episode 5, the show from us at CD Projekt Red, where we talk about all things Cyberpunk 2077. Now we're going to start today's episode with a new trailer that will take a closer look at Johnny Silverhand, before we go behind the scenes with Keanu Reeves and have a chat to English adaptation director Boris, who will tell us exactly what it was like to work with him.
Mi puto padre,
Then we'll
tío.
be exploring the original
Es que es
score
increíble.
and talking about some of the radio stations you might listen to while driving around Night City. Before we take a look at the Jolly technology, which is powering facial animation in Cyberpunk, and unveil a new My Reward scheme, which anyone can take part in, no matter which platform you'll be playing Cyberpunk on. We'll then
Chaquetas del The
wrap up
Witcher.
today's episode with a brand new gameplay trailer. It's a busy episode, and it will be our final episode of Night City Wire.
Vale, último
before
capítulo.
The game launches on December 10th.
Quiero el collar,
So, let's get going.
No sé, es que del último retraso se enteraron los trabajadores de CD Projekt porque lo pusieron en Twitter. No sé qué está pasando.
Silverhand. Johnny Silverhand. Real talk of the town back in my day.
He died, like, forever ago.
You need to say there's an actual terrorist in my head. Right now.
He burned down half the city just to prove he was right.
¿Llevaremos a Johnny en algún momento? Parece que sí, ¿no?
What do you want from me? Destroy Arasaka. I don't even know what that means.
O igual hay alguna cinemática en primera persona o algo.
He already tried to take over your body. You know, just for a little while.
Hear me, asshole? A bullet to the fucking brain. Get out! Just get the fuck out!
Tell me how to get rid of it.
Es que esto es gameplay, tío. Es que es un gameplay trailer esto. Cago en la puta.
You're a dick, you know.
And you're a cunt. Maybe we'll fit together after all.
Sometimes we like to share things with you, and other times we like to.
Creo que sí que servirá como guía del juego, dentro del juego o algo así. Me cago en la puta, tío. Voy a esconder esto, un segundo.
So let's go behind the scenes to see how Keanu Reeves brought rocker boy Johnny Silverhand to life. You could say it's breathtaking.
Cyberpunk.
¿Qué tal, Chris? ¿Cómo estás, tío?
Johnny Silverhand.
Mira esto,
I've had
mi
the
puto padre.
opportunity to do voiceover a few times. I'd worked on a cartoon. I had done some documentaries. I'd never done this much. You know you don't gotta speak out loud to talk to me. And I've processed some shit.
Changed my mind. Don't want you dead anymore.
You know, and got to play a character in so many kind of different ways because of different paths or threads or choices. So you almost get to play one moment, say you have a decision.
Would you take a bullet for it?
With 3 different behavioral attitudes. So that was fun. You know, Johnny's either a dick, or he's happy, or he's trying to convince.
Know why? Because you've always been a fucking pussy, kid.
Parece que sí, que en este momento iremos con él.
That was kind of what I was interested in. You know, the different options that the game could play. You know, playing the same person, but with different versions of them.
Motion capture, baby. Johnny Silverhand.
So one of the first elements that I was involved in with the game was motion capture. I've done a fair bit of motion capture. I did it with
El doblaje está muy bien.
Matrix films, so to start
La primera vez lo jugaré
motion capture for
en
Johnny,
castellano.
it was all very familiar
La
to
segunda en
me.
inglés.
The only difference, I
Y la
think,
tercera en inglés también, supongo.
technologically was how close they were going to real-time review. But
Ya te veo,
creatively,
Chris, que estás
it was very
ocupadísimo, tío.
familiar in the sense of
Que te pasas
starting
poquito
a
últimamente.
library of gesture and the toolbox,
El doblaje está muy bien.
for
Le ponen la voz
the
suya de las
animators
pelis
to work
a
with for the
Keanu
characters.
Reeves, con lo cual bien.
So you get to see Johnny as the rock star.
El tío es un tallo,
You know,
súper
you hear
alto.
about his military past, you know, and he's fighting for his survival. So he's
No está
kinda
muy
got
clara
all
la
these
muerte de
things
Johnny
leading into the
Silverhand.
moment of this guy. It's really
Pero
a
creo
kind
que sí,
of an
Tutuki.
interpretation, because I think there's a Johnny Silverhand in all of us. He's got a lot of energy. He's got a good sense of humor, if not a little dark at times. He's very passionate. He cares. You know, he's kind of naive, but he's also super experienced in life. He's got certainly an appetite for life.
Ojo, creo que tengo un emote.
No, you're wrong.
He wants to change the world, you know? He has a cause that he wants to fight against the corpocracy.
Come on. Don't tell me you're not interested.
He's kind of looking for a different kind of freedom.
Corps have long controlled our lives, taken lots. And now they're after our souls.
At least I believed in something bigger.
At least I had
Ahí está el emote.
What CD Projekt Red has shared with me in the way that they talk about the game and what I've seen is that it's got a lot of freedom. There's so many different paths that you can play the game on.
No, o sea, no está diciendo nada muy así, ¿eh? Que se lo ha pasado muy bien, que no había hecho nada así, que el juego te da mucha libertad, etcétera, etcétera. Tampoco es nada muy que no sepamos, vaya. No puede decir nada. O sea, realmente le dicen lo que tiene que decir. Esto es así. Que hay mucho detalle en el mundo, etcétera, etcétera. Nada nuevo.
There's a real drama to the game and emotional stakes to it. And then there's lighter sides to it. And of course the music, production design, technologically.
¿Estaba saltando de un yate en bolas?
I don't think there'll be a game that looks like this. Yeah.
No entiendo este juego.
I take the driver, you get his side.
Bye bye.
Llevaremos a Johnny en varias ocasiones, ¿no? Parece, porque eso era un tiroteo, tío.
Before we get into what it was like to actually work with Keanu Reeves, was it always him that you imagined as Johnny Silverhand? Was there anybody else that you ever considered having for the role?
Yeah, Holly, it was a long, arduous, extended process to imagine what Johnny Silverhand is supposed to look like, what he's supposed to sound like, what he's supposed to act like.
Este es el narrador del primer gameplay, del gameplay de 45 minutos.
The process actually involved a lot of people. The game director,
Es el narrador del gameplay.
character artists,
Este que habla.
writers, marketing staff.
Dice que bueno, que básicamente que el proceso de imaginar a Johnny Silverhand, que fue, o sea, viene del lore original de Cyberpunk, del juego de mesa me refiero, pero de
Now,
de
some might
decidir
say
quién
that
sería
it
y todo
was a
esto,
pipe
¿no?
dream to assume that we could do that technologically or otherwise. Well, I'll see you that pipe dream and raise you another, because one could easily say that it was a pipe dream to assume that we could successfully pitch to and ultimately enlist Keanu Reeves to play the role.
Now, I'm sure this is on everybody's mind right now, but what was it actually like to work with Keanu Reeves? Because even he said in the video, this was like nothing he'd ever done before.
A question that I'm sure anybody who gets to work
El emoji es para siempre, sí.
has to answer, and I get where it comes from. Keanu is a consummate professional. When he's at work, he's at work. He's completely and utterly focused. To that work, he brings his talent, he brings his art.
Dice que trabajar con él que es una pasada, y cuando está trabajando está focus 100%, y que es increíble. Cosa que ya sabemos. Porque Keanu Reeves es nuestro puto padre.
They can be difficult to get your head around. And if you take all of Johnny Silverhand's bits, his screen time, it's like doing the equivalent of many, many feature film roles put together. And we covered all that in a handful of mocap sessions and under 24 VO recording sessions of 4 to 6 hours each. And that took focus, it took control, it took dedication, all of which Keanu provided in heaps.
So tell us a little bit more about the character of Johnny Silverhand and why he's important to the story, but also why it's important to have him played by like such a powerful personality.
Okay, how do I do this without spoiling too much for gamers? In the broadest sense, I'd say Johnny Silverhand is a co-protagonist.
Dice que es coprotagonista.
A sidekick. I mean, there are buddy bits in the game, but in the end, Johnny has an agenda and he pursues it, and V has an agenda and has to pursue that.
Dice que bueno, que tanto V como Johnny tienen sus objetivos y tal, y que los tienes que perseguir. Me refiero que él también tiene sus intereses. No sé si nos la puede jugar o no, supongo que no.
Both characters' agendas become equally important. Both characters' continued existence becomes equally important. For any gamer or viewer or reader, what you have to do is create that bond between them and the protagonist or protagonists. You have to make those characters understandable to them, likable to them, lovable to them. With that understanding, even when they do something not entirely admirable or say something reprehensible, you stay committed, you stay involved. You stay
Igual es porque no lo tienes, Morphy, no tengo ni idea.
And there's no denying casting a powerful personality.
Igual lo tienes que reclamar, no sé cómo va.
Charmed by the truckload helps to further all that.
So Boris, can you tell us what does Keanu bring to Johnny Silverhand?
What Keanu brings to Johnny Silverhand is nothing more and nothing less than Keanu. I could parse that into a string of adjectives, but I kind of think that would be borderline insulting because it wouldn't begin to do him justice. To anybody who's seen the applicable movies, Neo is Keanu, Keanu is Neo. John Wick is Keanu, Keanu is John Wick. John Constantine, Johnny Mnemonic, Jonathan Harker, Johnny Utah, they're all Keanu. And to anyone who will play.
Dice que así como Neo, o sea, como Keanu Reeves es Neo y Neo es Keanu Reeves y John Wick es Keanu Reeves y Keanu Reeves es John Wick, pues con Johnny Silverhand igual. Que se ha sacado la polla, básicamente, haciendo de Johnny Silverhand. Cosa que ya sabíamos, obviamente. O me podía imaginar.
I wish I could, Holly, but I'm really no mocap expert, and I can basically tell you what the day looked like, what the process looked like to me. To me, it was a fine day in LA, and I put on a wonky-looking bodysuit with globules all over it, and I put on the head cam, and then we proceeded to block and then play out scenes between V and Johnny. And we did it over and over and over again. As we did that, I must have poked Johnny in the chest hundreds of times, and I must have yelled "fuck off" at Johnny 35 times, you know. Well, I never expected to be doing any of that. No, I never imagined I'd be doing any of that.
Well, Boris, thank you so much.
Dice que en las motion capture que el
is quite iconic. So whenever I talk to you, I feel like I'm in a trailer. It's amazing.
It's not all that. It's not all that, Holly. Thank you.
que él hacía de V, ¿no?
Soviet
V.
era synthesizers to body heat radio. It's time to explore the original score and just some of the radio stations you'll be listening to when you're driving around.
Ojo, musiquita, musiquita. Esta no tendrá copy, con lo cual me alegro. La música de la radio, básicamente. Creo que ha dicho.
Cyberpunk 2077 is no different. It actually took us a long time to find the right
El compositor, si no recuerdo mal, es el mismo que el de The Witcher. Lo cual me alegra bastante.
Almost as important as the actual look of the game itself, because your music is really helping you feel this emotional connection to the game.
El vídeo que tengo que sacar va de eso que se ha visto, que estaban ahí como medio drogados en un salón con gafas de realidad virtual. Va de eso. La neurodanza.
We took elements from rave, IDM, industrial, and make them fit our narrative purposes.
We've decided that close to 100% of our music would be purely electronic.
That's why we tried to stick to analog synths as much as possible, so it's got a warmth to it.
I'm super proud of the team we've managed to gather for this project.
El puto loco este ha pasado de hacer la banda sonora del The Witcher 3, que es como súper folclórica y tal, a hacer esto. Ok.
I love the fact that the music in this game is so varied. So we have some tracks that are super dirty, super heavy, and then we have some tracks that are very beautiful and ambient. I'm using all kinds of different effects. So it's been great to be able to experiment with the sound and the style.
Es un buen músico, ¿no? Quiero decir, si puedo hacer las dos cosas, que no tiene nada que ver una cosa con la otra.
It's my first time actually doing any drum tracking for a video game. It's been really exciting. It's been a lot of fun.
It's all about making you feel like a perfect killing machine, because that's what you are basically.
Ya, la puta máquina esa es un sintetizador.
Well, I can do that all day long.
No,
you'll just have to
un
tell
modulador
me what you
creo
like,
que es.
what you don't like.
Cool.
Es de locos.
It's not going to sound like one thing, depending on what part of the city you're in.
We basically scored every quest pretty much with custom assets created specifically for that quest.
We ended up having over 7.5 hours of music in Cyberpunk.
Working on Cyberpunk has just been insane. I can seriously say that I've never worked with such a bunch of mad people in my life, and mad brilliant.
The gear that we use comes out of boutique shops, or they are vintage synthesizers like this Polyvox.
Esto que se escucha súper así, luego lo juntan todo y suena de locos.
Pays off with satisfying and enjoyable listening and gaming experience.
Soundtrack. Este parece que será más largo, ¿eh? Porque las secciones están durando bastante. La radio, ojo, ¿eh? Sí, lo otro era como la banda sonora original, ¿no? Lo que no son canciones cantadas como tal. Y esto es lo que sonará en la radio.
Soundtrack is one of the key elements we use.
En plan, una cosa es la score y otra es el soundtrack. El score es como lo instrumental, podríamos decir. No, es que no sé cómo definirlo bien. Como la banda sonora del juego y lo otro son canciones de la radio y tal, ¿sabes? En plan, el tema de Cyberpunk es score. O por ejemplo, el tema de GTA 4 es score, ¿no? El de la pantalla de carga. Y luego lo que suena en la... Mira, la mujer de Elon Musk, Grimes.
which was fucking incredible.
I've always wanted to do something connected to a video game, so I was
Lo que suena mientras juegas y lo otro es lo de la radio, efectivamente. Sí, lo que suena mientras juegas, podríamos decir. Sí. Ratboy se llama este. Este juega al LOL, ¿no? Al Fornite se llama Ratboy.
This world that's been constructed for you.
Vaca.
We want to provide you with the soundtrack to fucking shit up. Like, how can you not want to be a part of that?
Cosas de la música. Me enseñaban un poco del soundtrack. Hablaban un poco del soundtrack, mejor dicho.
We're going to be releasing a special 6-track Cyberpunk 2077 EP featuring tracks from the game's original score onto streaming services for you to enjoy for free, and they'll be live at the end of this episode.
Al final de esto sacan un EP con 6 canciones del juego. Let's go.
Or if you just want to make videos, we want to introduce you to a new mode that will allow you to disable certain copyrighted tracks. We know that for content creators, licensed music can sometimes be problematic. So with this new mode, you'll be able to disable a small number of selected tracks which could cause some issues, replacing them with a different song, helping to avoid any problems.
Ok, bueno, un modo sí para con música sin copyright. No sé por qué le meten copyright si la música es suya, tío.
And for PC players, you'll be able to turn it on and off in the game options. Don't forget, as with all episodes of Night City Wire, if you're tuning in late or if you just want to watch
Poca la polla, tío, de verdad,
again, we will be
podrían hacer, no sé, como el LOL, por ejemplo, que la música de KDA no tiene copyright. Ok.
When Cyberpunk launches, it will have VO in 10 different languages. So we're going to take a closer look at the Jolly technology, which
Y esto es lo que salió de noticia hace unas semanas, de que han hecho que las bocas se muevan en concordancia con el idioma que están hablando. O sea, si están en castellano y dicen hola, pues dirán hola, no dirán hello, ¿sabes? La boca, me refiero, los labios.
Jolly is a suite of tools and a suite of services that result in what we think is the coolest and best and highest quality facial performance on characters.
Oh, is that supposed to sound familiar?
It's automatically generated on a face based
No tengo ni puta idea de quién lo hizo.
dialogue, audio, speech from a voice actor.
Slow, deep breaths. Your cortisol and adrenaline spiked, but the soft activated your hormone.
Vale, pero enséñame otros idiomas.
You're alive and well.
What Jolly tries
Enséñame la misma escena con otros idiomas, tío.
Of what is being expressed in the vocal performance and put that on a 3D character.
That's Rogue. Best fixer in all of Night City.
There is just an incredible amount of performance in this game.
Sure.
A procedural solution allows you to animate over and over and over again at tremendous scale. Jolly is what powers every single character.
Los modelos de los personajes son una locura,
In all of the languages that the game has been localized for.
Ahora escúchame. Este mierdas de Anthony Gilchrist. ¿Es tu contacto? ¿Hat Infos zum Konvoi durchsickern lassen?
All you're doing is changing
Vale,
attributes.
ahí sí.
For example, speech
Me gusta.
style. If you wanted your character
Ilusiona.
to shout instead of mumble, instead of issuing a set of commands that read
Está bien,
the
está
animation,
bien.
instead you click an attribute going from, in this case, mumble to shout.
But you walk. You bleed, but you walk. You bleed, but you walk. You breed.
If the lip sync is right, you don't notice. If the faces match and match the performance, you don't notice because you're too busy paying attention to how awesome the game is, how much you care about these characters, how much, what you
Eso es verdad, dice que si el lip sync, ¿no? El que si está coordinado y tal, pues no te das cuenta, es como, ¿no? O sea, que te das cuenta cuando no cuadra. En plan, esto está descuadrado, ¿sabes? Que pasa en muchísimos juegos. Si va bien, no le prestas atención porque va bien, ¿sabes? No destaca, digamos. Tienes razón.
Now we're excited to reveal digital and in-game rewards for Cyberpunk
A ver.
2077. It's
Los
our way
awards.
of saying thank you for your support.
Del...
Now, every copy of the game comes with digital downloadable goodies such
Esto
as
sí.
the art book, the original score, and a digital comic, all from the Cyberpunk universe.
Dan un cómic, con el juego. Los in-game items, a ver. Esto va para YouTube, sí. Ah, esto con la cuenta de GOG. Let's go. La chaqueta, mira esto, tío. La camiseta de... Y tendremos cositas para el Gwent. De locos.
No matter which platform you're playing Cyberpunk on, you'll be able to get your digital goodies and in-game items.
Ah, vale, que es para todo el mundo. Ok, vale, vale. Ha dicho algo de GeoG, no sé, no lo acabo de entender.
As always, don't forget that if you've missed anything or if you just want
¿Ya
to
está?
watch again,
Vale.
we will be uploading everything to our channel.
A ver si hay un One More Thing o algo, pero no.
So before we take a look at that new gameplay trailer, we just want to reveal that a number of games media from all over the world have been playing Cyberpunk 2077, and you'll be able to read their latest impressions when this episode of Night
Ah, vale, que
City
hay medios que ya han jugado al juego y que cuando termine esto pues podremos leer las impresiones. No voy a leer nada, pero bueno. Porque no quiero... Esto es un tráiler nuevo. Gameplay trailer, vale.
At CD Projekt Red, we dedicate ourselves to telling immersive stories. Yet with every new project, we set out to make our games bigger, more complex, deeply engaging.
Come on, V.
Estaban buceando.
Cyberpunk 2077 marries exploration of a vast
¿Hay niveles bajo el mar? ¿Qué pasa?
combat, story-changing player choices, and robust character development, all to bring you into our vision of the dark future.
Voy a estar 2 horas, tío, creando el personaje.
You either burn alive in it, or you never existed at all.
The year is 2077. An economic crisis culminating in nuclear conflict has left America in pieces. With most of the continent degenerating into lawless war zones, people from all over have converged on the already overcrowded Night City, one of the world's last great megalopolises. A hub amassing the best in resources and know-how,
Hostia, el Titanfall, qué
and
guapo.
home to manufacturers of cutting-edge technologies. Night
Esto es la
City
neurodanza,
continues to
que estaban ahí
offer the
todos sentados.
promise of a
De eso irá al próximo vídeo.
civilized future.
What? No, this isn't happening. Oh, but it is.
But in the city's streets, a merciless struggle for power rages. Gangs, corporate agents, hustlers, religious cultists, politicians, and all manner of criminals strive to outplay one another. Ordinary people get caught in the crossfire.
Looking for justice. In Night City, I seek revenge. Much more feasible here.
In this world, consumed by never-ending conflict, sometimes only an outsider will get the job done.
Elizabeth tells me you have answers for us. I'm all ears.
And that's you, an urban mercenary, a cyber-enhanced gun for hire.
You seem to understand each
Me haré mujer, probablemente, en la primera partida. Seré chica.
As a mercenary, you swear no allegiance. You've chosen the outlaw life and trust that your abilities will carry you up Night City's ruthless, underground social ladder.
Heart of Night City. That's it right there.
To thrive as a merc, you need the right combination of gear, skills, and reputation.
Dex had a load to say about you. I hope he wasn't overselling.
With the money you earn, you can turn yourself into a living weapon, buying guns and enhancements in the hundreds.
Me deja un poco loco el menú,
As you roam the city's streets, you gain the experience you need to upgrade abilities and acquire perks. Combine the right skills and gear to create a gunslinger with inhuman reflexes. A stealthy
¿Cómo lo voy a jugar en
network
teclado y
command of all
ratón,
surrounding
Cago en
tech.
Dios.
Or practically anyone in between.
Va, ojalá metan puzzles como en el Watch Dogs, tío. Lo estoy deseando, Ha hecho que se suicide.
In Cyberpunk 2077, you steal a prototype biochip that can set you up
Teclado y
for life.
ratón, sí, sí. Ahora os leo, que es que estoy atento a esto.
Was ruptured. The only way to prevent the biochip from failing is to slot it into your head. It turns out it contains the digitized soul of Johnny Silverhand, a dead rocker boy with violence on his mind.
You mean to say there's an actual terrorist in my head, right now?
He's out for revenge. Aims to bring down the megacorp that made the chip.
Do whatever it takes to stop him, defeat him, gut him.
What is in your head can shift the balance of power in Night City. The high and mighty will do anything to lay their hands on it.
Told you I'd end you someday.
The choices you make will shape your story
Chao,
and
Chris.
determine how events unfold.
Ahora os leo, os contesto.
But not everything in Night City is a matter of life and death. Sometimes it's about style.
Ojo.
Your ride, your pastime, who's at your side. Choosing how you spend your dirty money. Welcome to the
Las
next
actividades
generation
secundarias
of
van a ser de
adventure.
locos, tío.
Immerse yourself in Cyberpunk 2077.
Nah, qué locura. Qué locura, tío. Qué locura, tío. Qué locura. Pero es un videojuego, no pasa nada. ¿Se viene ban? Baneado, sí soy. Pues ha estado guapo, ¿eh? Me ha gustado, me ha gustado, me ha gustado. Hay ganas ya, hay ganas. Ayer me daba un poco igual, pero esto me ha levantado un poco el ánimo, la verdad.